Hello, welcome to Underlords Universe. This is a place where my brother and I and our friends congregate to talk about things that inspire us to be creative in our own right. We do a musical project called Underlords of the Overworld, and our bass player writes uh, novels in what we call the Underlords Universe, a fictional side of our stuff. And we're big horror movie fans, and Brent and I are here today to just give our a conversation, give our reaction to the new Wolfman movie that just came out a couple weeks ago, and because that's the kind of thing that catches our eye, and so I just want to know what he thinks about it, and we're zooming in so we can share our thoughts, and we'll put it up there and see if anybody else has thoughts of their own that they'd like to contribute. So if this is your first time stumbling across our page and you'll like what you see, go ahead and like, subscribe, do all that stuff, and put a comment or two below if you think that we're on the mark or if we're off the mark. But I don't know, Brent, did I miss anything in our little intro there?
No, do you want to go ahead and set the table a little bit and kind of
Yeah.
go through some of the preliminary stuff? I think that's good so far.
Yeah, I mean, so like I said, we're not professional film critics. There's obviously some great YouTubers out there that they're really good at breaking down films. That's not us. We're just kind of like your average Joe Schmoes that go to the theater and it's like, did we like it? Did we not like it? Um, if you want to check out really good reviewers, Jeremy Johns is a good one. The dude that does movies and munchies, I like his channel, but that's not us. We're not we're not pros at this, but maybe that's good. So,
We're
um,
just fans. We're just fans.
yeah, we're just fans. So, the movie though, it's not the Wolfman. It's not a retelling or a remake of the classic 1941 story of with Larry Talbot. There's no silver bullets, that kind of thing. Oh, spoilers. I should say this. Well, if you haven't seen this movie, we're probably going to spoil it. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want to be, don't watch this video. But so to that point, there's no silver bullet stuff. It's not the Larry Talbot story. Um, but I guess it is considered a reboot in the sense that it there was an effort by Universal a while back to start what they were going to call, I guess, the Dark Universe.
Oh yeah.
And so, for example, the previous, like, The Invisible Man came out a few years back. And in fact, this was directed by the same guy, written and directed by the same guy, Lee Wannell, who also wrote Saw and Insidious. And he directed Invisible Man, which, some people had some criticisms of it, I guess. I talked to Josh about Invisible Man, and he was kind of down on it, and I know
Mm.
why. I understood his criticisms, but I enjoyed it. And, I didn't think it was perfect, but I thought it was pretty good. And knowing that Lee Wannell was behind that, and he's behind this and stuff, I didn't go in with too many expectations other than this is not just a retelling of the kind of the Larry Talbot story. Um, I guess in 2010 there was that, in
Yeah, we saw that.
2010. So
We saw that, and that was pretty good.
yeah, I mean, it was okay. But this isn't that. So it's like, okay,
Oh.
I'm not really sure what to expect going in. So I just kind of kept my expectations kind of on hold. So
Hmm.
anyway, it's basically a story about a family, right?
Hmm.
The characters Blake and Charlotte and their daughter Ginger, and the actors I think are really really good at this. I
Yes.
think that the acting was really good. Christopher Abbott plays Blake, Julia Gardner plays Charlotte, and Matilda Firth plays the little girl Ginger. And we're not going to belabor the point about the story, but basically that they're trapped in the woods in a cabin essentially with a creature out there that's kind of stalking them. How they
Hmm.
get to that, though, I think is a decent setup. It's a pretty good setup because there's tension between the mom and the dad.
Hmm.
But it's not overblown. It's not melodramatic. It's just enough to set the stage. It seems kind of realistic. I think the tension between the two. And she has these doubts about herself, and he's got some frailties as well. And over the course of this film, the whole movie, again, spoiler if you don't know this already, of course, if you're interested in this movie, I don't know how you wouldn't already know this, but the whole film is basically a transformation scene. And
Yeah.
it's not like you got this, like, 30-second transformation and he's suddenly a werewolf and terrorizing everybody. But it's a long transformation scene of a film.
Mhm.
And but there's also the transformation of the family too, which I think is kind of cool. You see how Charlotte, the mother, you see how her character also goes through a transformational arc in her character, um, which I think is kind of in some ways the point of the film, um, not just dwelling on the dad who turns into this werewolf. So, as far as a story about a family that's going through a transformation, um, I thought it was good, but the thing to kind of keep in mind, for me, about this was ultimately at its core, it's still a horror movie. It's not a family drama. So
No.
the question is like, what's the balance between the family drama? Is there enough of it there that it's realistic and enough there that you can kind of buy into the story and buy into the characters? And it's a bit of a tragedy. And to that end, I thought it was reasonably successful. I actually liked the way that was done. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. Your take on the story?
Like you said, not your Lawrence Talbot story, a fresh take, if you will. As you pointed out, it's really the transformation is the movie.
Hmm.
It's lengthy. It's a slow burn of a movie. It's not overly gratuitous in terms of violence or anything like that. Um,
There are a couple graphic scenes, but it's not like it's over and over and over again.
no, in a lot of modern day action films and horror films, there's a lot of CGI and it's a lot of stuff. It's just a lot of visual. And the setting is dark and it's dreary and it kind of pulls you in if you can buy into the characters. And when we go see movies, and we've talked about this, you kind of have to connect with the characters, otherwise you really don't care what happens to them. I think there's a really interesting relationship between the daughter and the mom, and the daughter has a different relationship with the dad, and of course the dad is turning into a werewolf, which is it's absurd, right? It's ridiculous. But I found myself while we're watching it kind of like suspending the disbelief in the whole thing because the characters were played so well.
Hmm.
Um, like there's a scene where the mother is face to face with the husband who's turning into a werewolf. And I'm almost wanting to laugh because it's like, okay, really? But yeah, it's like, as ridiculous as it is, it's done in such a way that it works. And you rightfully pointed out that the movie really is about the familial relationships. And I hadn't thought about that until after we got
Hmm.
out of the movie. And the push and pull between the characters, because really the characters in the movie are those three
Hmm.
and the husband slash dad, his dad, who
Yeah.
plays a role in the movie, which makes it even. There's another twist to that, which we don't want to disclose or reveal. So it really is about the family, and you can look at that a number of ways. But I think it was done well. I don't. I think the visuals were quite good. I think the setting was really good. You talk about how they got to being in the cabin in the woods,
Hmm.
which that part was believable. So it was all done really, really well. And if you kind of like the horror that we like, the supernatural type horror, um, and this is a little bit like what's that movie from like 1968 where they're trapped in the farmhouse? Night of the Living Dead, right?
Yeah,
This is kind
yeah,
of a
yeah,
little bit like Night of the Living Dead meets Wolfman, kind of a little bit of both of those worlds put together, and it makes for a really good movie. It's a long movie, but and it's a slow burn, but I think it's paced relatively well.
yeah. I think some people would, because that's a personal feeling, personal preference kind of thing. And but I agree with you. I didn't have a problem with the. Oh, my dryer just went off. I didn't have a problem with the pacing at all. I can imagine some people might have, but I agree with you. I think because I
I
bought
think
into the characters.
yeah,
So
I had a buy-in with the characters, and I'm not really one that likes. I mean, it can be too slow or too fast. I think this was paced pretty much just right, well enough to tell the story. I think if you would have sped it up or slowed it down one way or the other, it might not have been as effective. But I think really all the elements that we look for, I should say, speaking for myself, that I look for in a movie of this genre, I think they were present. I
yeah,
didn't know what to expect going in,
yeah.
and I was pleasantly surprised at how good it is. And I would actually see it again, and I don't see very many movies the second time.
You said that the effects and stuff, and I think it's worth noting um, when if you watch this movie, it's pretty clear that they're practical effects. It's not CGI stuff. And
Right.
I went ahead and looked around, briefly. I just did a quick search to find out if that was accurate. In fact, it is accurate. There's no CGI in the entire film, and I think that the movie benefits from that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so,
Mm-hmm.
but I know, and I also looked it up on Rotten Tomatoes. It's only got like a 52% on Rotten Tomatoes, but I liked it. I thought it was good. I also liked the cinematography. I thought the scenes, or excuse me, the scenery and the way it was shot, the kind of the
Mm-hmm.
mountains and stuff. I thought was really effective and kind of really the kind of the natural beauty of the environment was good. Um,
One thing that was really cool, and I'm sure you would agree, is they showed certain scenes from as if you were looking at it through the eyes of the Wolfman.
yeah,
You would actually
funny I was
see
going to say that. Yeah,
what he sees as a hybrid man wolf creature, which
during the transformation
during the
and that.
transformation, yeah. So and they would do that at random, seemingly random parts throughout the movie, which so you would not only see what he sees, but you're hearing what he hears,
Hmm.
was pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and I thought so. I thought the story it's like, is it like the greatest thing I've ever seen? No. Is it, is it the most gripping story I've ever seen? No. But I liked it. I bought in. I enjoyed the movie. I thought the makeup and the effects were good. I liked the setting, the scenery. I thought the acting was great. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was a decent amount of tension, and I think that they walked the line really pretty as well as you can between a family tragedy drama and a horror film. Um, so yeah, I mean, you might say maybe it's a bit predictable here and there in a certain sense, but that didn't really bother me at all. Um, so you know, I don't know. So, I mean, if you had to give this like a grade or a star rating out of like 5 stars, what would you give it? Either a grade or
I'd
star.
give it I'd give it like a B or a B plus. I'd give it 4 out of 5 stars. I think it was
Yeah.
solid. There was nothing about it that I didn't like. There's no for me there were no drawbacks.
Hmm.
There's nothing about it where I would say, "Oh, I wish they would have done that," or "They shouldn't have done this," or "That was just too stupid."
Yeah.
And I was pretty much dialed in the whole time. I
Yeah.
mean, I was dialed in the whole time.
It's funny. I jotted down B and 4 stars, 4 out of 5.
Yeah,
Again, it's not perfect. I probably wouldn't watch it. It's not one of those things where I would watch it every year. But I would see it again. Yeah.
yeah,
And in that sense, I would give it a thumbs up.
yeah. I give it a thumbs up.
Um,
Solid thumbs up.
yeah. Uh, I don't know. Any other thoughts on this? And have you seen? Did you see The Invisible Man?
I did not.
Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe it might be worth checking out. Like I said, I did talk to Josh about it, and he had some interesting criticisms of it, which he's very keen. He got a good sense for those things, but
Mhm.
ultimately he and I disagreed about whether or not, you know, we liked it or not, I guess. But
I wonder what
as
he would
far as I
think of.
know, he hasn't seen this one, and
I was just going to ask you. I wonder what he would think of this. I mean, I guess it's. I can ask him. I talk
yeah,
to
he tends to wait till things come out on streaming, of course, but which this probably will be streaming pretty soon. So maybe we'll get him to check it out. But
him. Yeah,
anyway, if
that'd be
you haven't checked it, or excuse me, if you have checked it out and you have a thought, if you think that we're off base in our assessment of Wolfman 2025, leave a comment below, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. And we're gonna get we mostly do music stuff on this channel, but we're gonna blend in more movie stuff
good.
along the way, I think, here as we keep
Change it up. Change it up a little bit.
yeah. We also, there's a lot of, we don't consider ourselves like YouTubers per se. We're just creatives. We do a project called Underlords of the Overworld, and we write and record music that's kind of conceptual in nature. Some of it's instrumental, some of it's a little character driven, some of it has vocals, and
There may or may not be a Wolfman involved in some of that music.
there
You
maybe not. But we have a new album out on Bandcamp right now and all streaming services. It's called Lottery of Your Life, and we're pretty proud of it.
yeah.
We did a single called Ordo Obstrusus Oculus, which is um, got a guest vocal by former Iron Maiden vocals Blaze Bayley. That's also on Bandcamp and streaming services like Spotify. Our bass player writes a fictional kind of history of the Underlords, which are available through Amazon.com, and he goes under the name H. Prescott Lemon. It's a bit of a quirky. There's a bit of quirky kind of little twinges of horror in his writing, but it's kind of an absurd.
It's fun.
Yeah. And there's another series called the OAO, or the Ordo Obstrusus Oculus, a secret society that's also in the broader Underlords universe that he's created. So I'll put links below if anybody wants to check that stuff out. That's a great way to support the channel if you like our style. So um,
Yeah,
anyway,
and if there are movies that you think we ought to check out, let
oh
us know.
yeah,
Maybe there's stuff out there that you've seen that maybe you're not sure we're familiar with or know about. Let us know, and we'll
yeah,
we'll check stuff out.
good point. Cool. Until later, then I guess that's about it for me.
That's about it. I think it was in summation, good movie.
Mhm. Yeah,
Hopefully, we
decent
didn't spoil
movie.
it for
Yeah.
people. Check it out.
Yeah.
I'll go see it again. Brian, if you want to go see it again,
Well, we'll
go do it.
see. We'll see. Movies are expensive these days, but it's
Yeah,
also, I think, good to support, the film industry, especially movies that, um, you know, I mean, it's a Blumhouse production, so it's a big studio, but it's, you don't necessarily expect horror films that come out in January to be as good as this one actually is. That's
good point.
kind of,
Good point.
yeah. So, at any rate, yeah, thanks for checking us out, and we'll be doing more movies down the road. Ciao.